everybody to another episode of Link Up with Michael Flix. Very happy to be back. Very happy to be sitting down with, like I said last time, I've had athletes and entrepreneurs. My last episode was an artist. This episode we're sitting down with a clothing and bag designer. So I'm very happy. He's got a lot of dope stuff to talk to us about. My man Ty.
Yo,
appreciate you shooting down.
Long time coming, man.
Absolutely.
A little overdue.
Yeah, man. We actually connected at the pop-up shops that we used to have. Was it Vibes?
I think it was Vibes.
Was that Vibes? Yeah, I used to be there with my man Abe from the Kings.
Yep.
Helping him sell merch and stuff, and you were pulling up with your stuff. Had a lot of dope stuff. I was like, let me check. I was just trying to be real. I was trying to have my Instagram just look dope, just trying to look at everything.
Yeah.
I came past your booth. I'm like, oh, he got some dope stuff. I remember I asked you what the fly was about and everything, and we got into it. We actually were supposed to. You were setting up like a creative video with your man.
We were supposed to do
rap. What was his name?
Oh, Luke.
It was like Amari Davu or something.
Oh,
like
Amari Davu.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. We were
yeah.
supposed to do like a creative piece with him at Chicano Park. Then we went to the other spot. We couldn't make it work, but we're here doing this, and it's finally what we should be doing.
Right.
What you been up to, bro?
Man, bags. As you can see, I took a little break from clothing during quarantine, and started working on like a different part of fashion that I kind of had a vision for like last year. And COVID, quarantine, everybody, we ain't doing nothing. So it just gave me that time to actually just tap in and try a different avenue of the fashion industry, and that's what I've just been doing. I've just been on bags, the new brand, and Outlaw. Yeah.
What's up, man? That's what's up. So I want to take it all the way from the beginning, First and foremost, when I met you, and most people that end up getting into like clothing design or any type of like fashion, really, they usually start off as like one of like more swaggy people. They got like, they got the gear. They're pretty fresh. So like, how did you what was your start? Like, what got you into clothing to start?
Sure, funny story, man. This is the first time I've ever told this story. Okay. But so I remember like it was yesterday, man. It was 7th grade. And I'm with all my boys from the AAU team. Shout out KP, Tyler Jones, all them dudes, man. And we're at the Fab 48 tournament. Okay. And, we're watching games and stuff. And this is when we all started to get our little bit of swag. And I was like the last one to catch on. So I remember I showed up to the game with some jeans and some pro models on. Now, I don't know if you hooped, right? You remember them pro models, right? Yeah, so I had jeans and pro models on and walked in there like I was swaggy, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was the coldest thing to ever walk the runway, right? And as soon as I get up with my teammates, Tyler Jones, she just started bagging on me, like just started cracking on me. And it was that moment that I realized, like, yo, I gotta have my own kind of fashionable swag to me. I can't be walking around with jeans and pro models and stuff like that.
You said what grade was that?
This was like 7th grade, bro. So I was late, you know what I'm saying? I was even late to it still. So that was like my first little wake up call to like, all right, like you gotta have some kind of style. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that was the first little wake up call to me.
And then from there, like, where did you go with it? Is it like Mom, I gotta get my wardrobe together? Like,
basically, yeah. I was just like, I gotta get my wardrobe together. But then it became like, I was like, well, I'm not going to go buy all this, nice stuff. So I was like, damn, I gotta get creative. Like, I had to find a way to just be fly in my own way. And I feel like that's kind of where fly, the origins came from. Was I would wear basic stuff like just regular t-shirts, some jeans, and then some clean shoes like some Chucks. You know what I'm saying? But I think it was my confidence, like the way that I carried myself. I could have something basic on, and people would be like, "Yo, like you're fly, like you're super fly and stuff like that." And people like around, it was my freshman year, I started getting like a little like notoriety as being like one of like the flyest freshmen. And I was just dressing normal, like just normal stuff, like just what I like. And I think it was the confidence. Like they were like, he doesn't care what we think, so we might as well just accept, what the way he's dressing. So yeah.
And where at that point was it just like kind of you like putting dope outfits together, or were you starting to design your own clothes at that point?
Nah, I was just putting dope outfits together. During that time I was jerking, so so I had the color skinny jeans, the cartoon t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't really like. I always wanted to be the best dressed, ever since that moment that in 7th grade. But since then I always wanted to be the best dressed. But not until about like my junior year, I started thinking like I want to have my own, like clothing brand. Like I always wanted to start my own clothing brand around like my junior years when I really started thinking about doing it. I just couldn't do it because basketball, man, like especially growing up in Vegas, like Vegas is like the basketball hub as far as like AAU and that kind of stuff is concerned. And if you're serious about it, you don't got no other time but just basketball and school, and that was it. So I didn't have any time to like even really dive into like, you know, fashion, things like that. I just knew I wanted to dress good, you know, but I didn't have the time to actually dive into the aspect of like creating my own clothes and brand and things like that.
And so it's interesting that you say that, because just this morning, we're shooting this on a Saturday. Just this morning, I did another episode on the Michael Flix, and one of the main things that I spoke about, like in the opening, was encouraging athletes to try other things. Yeah. Because I was talking about how my mom encouraged me to try other things other than sports, and so it's interesting that you say that. Like, I mean, it's good that obviously you're doing big things now, so you got to round back to it, but. You know, it's interesting that you say, like you said, I didn't have the time. You know what I mean? So at what point, when did you find the time to really get into it and start creating your own brand?
After I stopped playing basketball. After I graduated college and I realized I wasn't going to the NBA and I like stopped playing basketball, then that was like my time to, all right, I want to do this. And I started planning ahead because, you know, my senior year of college, you know, I wasn't going where I wanted it.
What school did you go to?
I went to York College. It's an NAIA in Nebraska. Okay. First year we went there, we, you know, won the KCAC championship, first time in school history, went to the Elite Eight, all that stuff. It was a good experience. Yeah, man. It was really good. We had two All-Americans on our team, one honorable mention. And in the second year, it just wasn't a good year. Like, we went from, you know, all the way up here to down to the bottom. Yeah. And you know, the hooping journey, a lot of people don't. Well, I guess I'm starting to talk about it now, especially hoopers. Like, it really takes a toll on your mental health. Like, the journey that you have to take if you really want to keep hooping. Like, you know, and if I'm going from school to school and dealing with, this coach isn't rocking with me as I thought he would when he said he was going to bring me here. You know what I'm saying? And so by the time of my senior year, I was burnt out, bro. Like, as far as like the whole mental journey, like the things I've been through in my own basketball journey, like injuries and things like that. I was burnt. Like, I was just like, like, it's just time to start planning my second passion. And I automatically knew like clothes was something I wanted to do, because my freshman year, me and my teammate, this was when I was in JUCO, went to JUCO in Pima, and we started a clothing brand, or we tried to. We was all in hooping though, and we had no money, broke college students. So it was basically just a movement, really. But we wanted to make it a brand. It was called Young Bull with a Dream, and Sometimes I Can't Sleep. And so we started with that, had like a couple t-shirts, gave them, to the people on campus, but it never actually, like grew into something, because we was focused on trying to, go to D1, D2, and also trying to survive, you know what I'm saying, in college. Right. So it never went into anything. So when I got to my senior year, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to play basketball after college, I'm grateful for the, experiences that I had. A lot of people, especially from where I'm from, didn't even get to finish their college career. So I was just grateful for that. And I was like, you know what, let me go back into fashion. And that's when I started planning, fly, because my major in college was psychology. So I was like, let me bring, mental health and psychology and put it into the fashion of it. So yeah.
And tell them what FLY stands for?
So FLY, it stands for First Love Yourself. And our mantra is you are what you create. Meaning that, the thoughts that you think, the people you hang around with, your environment, the habits that you pick up on a daily basis, you're constantly creating your own reality with what you do and how you see the world. And I always tell people all the time, a truth is a lie if you believe it. And so it's like somebody could tell you a lie, but if you believe it's the truth, it's the truth to you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like being FLY is about how you feel about yourself. If you step outside the house, it don't matter if you just got a t-shirt and some regular kicks, but if you carry the confidence like I'm FLY no matter what I got on, other people are gonna feel that energy and they're gonna be like, he's a FLY dude. But if you walk outside, no matter if you dripping in designer, like, you know what I'm saying? If people can feel that energy of, oh, he's wearing this designer because he believes isn't confident in himself, they're gonna feel that. And they're gonna be like, bro, that designer don't make you FLY, bro. Like, so FLY is a mentality. You are what you create. Yeah.
Absolutely, I like that. And it's just it's funny. I tell like somebody, well, not anymore. Like my cousin, we're all grown now. But I remember telling like my younger cousins, they were into like all like the designer jeans, and I was into it a little bit. But for the most part, really, I didn't have the money for it. Like all my designer jeans, to be real, I bought secondhand from my cousin Blade. Shout out my cousin Blade. I really didn't have the money for all of that, so I was just. And then to be real, I wasn't into it. It didn't look super dope to me. It just was really a name. And so for me, and like to this day, I mean, like, if you see a brand on me, it's black owned for number one. But other than that, like, I don't wear nothing name brand. I just rock with what I like. You know what I'm saying? And to get back to your point about like just like wearing what you like and kind of like putting people onto it. In high school, my senior year, just my senior year. Me, myself, my older brother, and my buddy Jesse that I do a podcast with. We had an RP print class. Okay. We were, making notepads, made business cards, and then we were able to make T-shirts. Mm-hmm. And at the time, this was I graduated high school '06, and this was like right a little bit after the time Kanye did the George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Okay, yeah.
We were rocking with that. Kanye's made a drastic change, but back then we was rocking with him hard. And so like we got that quote and put it on the front of the shirt. And I forget another Kanye quote. We put it on the back, and just was rocking them. People was reading it, like the administration at the school was getting hot, but it's like what can they really do? It's expression. What I mean? So we ended up printing up a bunch more and just passing it out to people at school. And then also our mascot was the Patriot, and so every Friday was Red, White, and Blue Day. And so instead of this was just us being rebels, we went and bought some Army fatigue shirts, and instead of wearing red, white, and blue, we wore Army fatigue. Okay. And it was dope.
Y'all was stirring up ruckus.
Exactly. Exactly. But to get back to your point about like putting other people on it, we were talking one time about like back then we weren't even thinking sell these shirts. Yeah. Because we won, and people were like, "Yo, where'd y'all get those?" And like, we made these. Like, hey, we'll make you some. We didn't even think like, "Hey, yo, we'll make them. Like, buy it from us." Yeah. You know what I mean? And even with the Army fatigue, we just bought them. And our football coaches thought it was funny, so they started wearing it too. And then before you know it, like a whole bunch of people wearing Army fatigue instead of red, white, and blue. You know what I mean? So it's just funny that like I didn't even think about that when I was coming to talk to you today. It was just like hearing your story like make me like reconnect to things I've done. You know what I mean? And so what year was that when you started Fly?
I started Fly in December of 2018.
Oh, okay.
Yep, December 18 was when we first started as far as clothing. Mm-hmm. Before that, like just to kind of set the foundation of what we were about, I threw my own basketball camp in Las Vegas. It was a free camp for kids. All they had to bring was like perishable items for the homeless. Okay, dope. And that was like first thing, Fly camp. And then we did like a 30 days of giving where you bring toys and stuff, and we took them all to the Pulaski children's place. Mm-hmm. So we did that, and then once we kind of said, all right, we're more for the community, then that's when we came out with the first hoodies, the feather letter hoodie that we came out, and that was the start.
That was dope. That's the time when you dropped off of me, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, actually in the last episode of Link Up with Michael Flix, the hoodie that I got on, actually, that's my man's brand right there, man. So there's a few people was asking me where I got that. I pointed you. I don't know if they ever hit you, but I pointed in your direction for sure. And so you say you've kind of it started with the hoodies. Was that kind of all you did with it?
Yeah, so it just started with hoodies and t-shirts, and we like in the beginning, me and my cousin, because I do Fly with my cousin, we had never actually done this before, so we had just been learning, Mm-hmm. So the first year was all like trial and error, like throwing different logos out there, what's gonna work, what do the people like, what do the people not like, like what did the best, what did the worst, that kind of thing. So like the first year was more of just like a fill out, like who was our customer, kind of thing. That was the first year. And then the second year it started off great, 2020 COVID, and then so I was planning the fashion show. And I had a fashion show March 6th. It was literally like that next Friday, basically the whole United States shut down. Mm-hmm. So it was like the last event before COVID, and that was like the fashion show, and that was like we were getting ready to like getting ready to do more like events with the mental health theme and stuff, and then the show was great. It had like 300 people come out. Davu performed, Lou performed, Jasmine Rose performed, Frank did some poetry, my cousin Jasmine did some poetry. We had Unshook in the building, Raymond, Ren Tyler. It was just like a group of dope San Diego creators, and then that COVID happened, and it kind of just like stopped everything, and then that's when I took the time to start Outlaw, because it was like, all right, nothing's moving, nothing's shaking, might as well try to start something that I've been wanting to start. I just didn't have the time to do it yet.
And so Outlaw is the bag line, right?
Yep.
Let's talk about that, man. How did you you said that was something you always wanted to do?
Yeah. So when I started Fly, the initial plan was I wanted to sew from the beginning. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be cut and sew, but I had no clue what I was doing. Mm-hmm. I messed up so many like clothes and stuff, and I just gave up after a while. And then my mom actually, she you get those advertisements in the mail. And she got this advertisement. She was like, "Oh, free classes, sewing. You should look into it." And I was like, "All right, bet." And I looked, and sure enough, it was like the last day to sign up. So it was kind of like a divine alignment kind of thing. So I started taking the class, and when I started taking the class, I started to learn. That's when I started thinking about Outlaw. And I was also playing this game called Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay.
And for anybody that doesn't know, it's a Western game, kind of like Grand Theft Auto, but it's Western. And it kind of just came to me, bro. Like I was just like, yeah. When I started, I would just start thinking about new stuff, and I was just sitting there, and it was like an epiphany. It was just like Outlaw, life on the edge. That was it. Like it just came to me. I stuck with that, and then my first bag, like the first image that I had was I wanted to make a cow print duffel bag, but I wanted the inside to be red bandana to represent like the cowboys and stuff. So that was like my first initial image of it. This was last August. So that was like the first idea. And then once COVID happened, I just started, putting it all into place, started really getting all different ideas and started building a brand of what it means to be an outlaw.
So what does it mean to be an outlaw?
So basically an outlaw is anybody that's ever been, misunderstood, overlooked, anybody that feels like, they got something to prove, anybody that goes against the grain, anybody that's taking risks when, somebody like, for example, like an outlaw, somebody that quits their job to go full-time on their passion or their dream when their whole family is telling them, you're stupid, you're never gonna make it. Like, you're an outlaw. You're going against the grain. You're going against what society is telling you the way to make it. Or like an underdog, like somebody like Damian Lillard, like somebody who's been an underdog all their life, and then they're an outlaw. Like they always had to overcome an obstacle of some kind of sort. Or even just to different communities. Like for us, we've been outlaws since we came to America. We've been misunderstood. We've had to overcome extra obstacles just to barely make it. So that's basically what an outlaw is. Outlaw is anybody that's misunderstood, that's underrated, that's out here taking risks and doing whatever they can to strive for success and overcome that.
So talking about one of the things I definitely wanted to talk to you about, especially being an entrepreneur, a creative entrepreneur, because a lot of times you can have a business, but you're a good business mind, and even the business model may not be centered around like creativity. You know what I mean? And so talk about being a creative that's also a businessman, and kind of like that outlaw mentality that you have to stay focused through the ups and downs. Because a lot of people think, and the perception could be, especially with somebody like you who's good at the aesthetic and good at making the Instagram look good and everything. I don't know how well Fly ever sold or how good this is selling now, but I know being an entrepreneur, there's peaks and valleys, what I mean? And that the perception could be that it's like, oh, these bags are selling. So kind of talk about like the outlaw mentality that you need to have to stay focused and kind of just keep your grind going with all the ups and downs.
If you're an entrepreneur, you gotta have outlaw mentality, because especially when you're starting out, like a lot of people, like they think things just happen overnight because that's just what we see, but really it may have took 2-3 years and then it happened overnight. And the toughest part for me is when things aren't going as well as I think they should be. Because that's when you're like you said, like I'm working hard on the aesthetic, I'm working hard on the branding, I'm working hard on promotion, and it's like, wow, like what's not connecting? You know what I'm saying? And in those moments, you can either go two ways. You can either get down on yourself, like, oh, people don't like my stuff, I should quit, you know what I'm saying? Or this is where your faith comes in. Like I always tell people, I given a speech last year to this foundation called Brothers with Ties and the Blue Heart Foundation, and their theme was like the road to success. And one of the things that I said was the most important thing I believe in anyone's road to success is your faith. And it's not like, do you believe in God or, whatever. It's what is your ability to believe in yourself when it's dark? What is your ability to believe in yourself when things aren't selling? When your family thinks that you should just give up by now? When it seems like you try your hardest and nothing is working? In those moments, are you going to be strong enough to believe that this is going to pay off? Like, even though it's dark right now, are you going to have that faith that, tomorrow it'll be better? In a month, I'm going to get there. In a week, I'm going to get there. So you got to have that outlaw mentality, otherwise you're going to quit. I think about the Iverson quote that he has on his shoulder, only the strong survive. Absolutely. And that's facts. Like, only the strong survive, especially with mental health. It's an up and down roller coaster, because with art, it's your art, so you're gonna take it so personal. It's like your baby.
Absolutely.
So it's like when you feel it's not being appreciated or it's not getting the credit that it deserves, it's gonna hurt you because it's your baby, you know. But you just gotta keep the faith that, you know, not everything happens overnight. Good things take time, and you just gotta keep laying a brick every day. That's what I try to remind myself. Like, you know, damn, like I'll be like, I should be, you know, this way. We always want to be somewhere fast. Like we look at the world and society, and everybody's showing their best life, and so it's like, damn, they look like they 2 hours ahead of me. I need to be over here. I'm back here, and I just gotta remind myself, like everybody got their own time, and if you just keep trying to lay a rock down or brick down today, you know, eventually you're gonna have a house. It may not happen when you want it to happen, but it will happen. You know?
Absolutely. It's funny you say that, man. I actually as far as like looking at other people and like, oh, they doing this, I feel like I should be. I was actually just telling I think it was telling my brother. I was just telling somebody, I saw my photography career really take a jump when I unfollowed all the photographers that I thought were super dope.
Yeah.
Because I was following them and trying to
like compare.
I was for sure comparing, but I was also trying to do what they were doing instead of really trying to find my style and find the way I do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, and even especially back then, like I didn't have the equipment they had, or my camera was older or whatever, and so and my skill weren't up to where theirs was.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I was trying to do what they were doing and doing like a poor version of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I noticed that.
Yeah.
I noticed that. And so like literally I unfollowed everybody that I thought was dope except for one dude, and he lives here in town. He knows when he sees this, he gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. Everybody except for him, and especially I didn't unfollow him. Like he's my bro. I'm not gonna unfollow a bro, you know what I mean? But when I stopped looking at other people and comparing myself to them and just focus on me and how I like to create and finding my style, I seen I seen everything really take a jump.
Yeah, that's it's the authenticity. Like it becomes original. Me too. Like I never did before, but like I really don't. Like I don't pay attention to other fashion brands like Louis, Gucci, even streetwear. Like I don't pay attention to what they do because it's so easy for the mind to just like want to mimic. You know, to see that and be like, dang, that looks hard. Like let me try something like that. You know, and then that lacks originality. So I try to just not watch any of that on my Instagram, so that way I know when I have an idea, it's coming from me. And if somebody did it before, I mean, hey, at least I did it coming from me and not because I saw you do it first.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So yeah.
Absolutely. So before we get out of here, man, what's coming up next for Outlaw? What's the I guess the short term and the long term goal, and just what you have, the plans you have for the brand?
Short term goal is got a whole new collection out. I started out hand making all these bags, so that was tough. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like stressful. They appreciate it. So now I just got to a point where this next collection, I'm not sewing none of them. I just designed them. I'm about to get them mass produced, so that way it's perfect, no human error, nothing. So just taking that next step as far as quality to the customer. You know, because when you sew it yourself, it's gonna be some kind of human error. It may not be able to see to the blind eye, but it's there. You know. But you know, when you go to a company or whatever, and for professionals, because technically I'm still learning. You know, I've only been sewing for a year.
Right.
So it'll be, you know, better condition and all that, and then getting to some retail stores. I'm going to be in a retail store in Hillcrest. It's called Index Urban. So that'll be the first retail store that I'm in. And then 2 other ones, one in Mission Valley at the Mission Valley Mall, and the other one at the La Jolla UTC. It's called Local Niche. Same store, just different locations. So that's a short-term goal, just new drip, getting into some retail stores and just growing. Honestly, I think also I did a good job of like showing like the old Outlaw, as in like the Western theme, like, you know, solidifying like my brand is based off a Western theme. You know, I took all the pics in Old Town and had them dress up like, you know, cowboys, cowgirls and stuff. And so I think the next goal is to show the modern Outlaw. Like, what does the 2020 Outlaw look like today?
Okay.
Because, you know, sometimes the pictures look good, the aesthetic is good, but then some people might go to my page and it's like, dang, like, how can I relate? Because all these pics are from this time period.
Right.
You know, what does Outlaw look like today in 2020 and 2021? So that's the next goal, is capitalizing on today's Outlaw, and then continuing the story of Lil Wild. That's the most thing I'm excited about. We did chapter 1. story of Blue Owl, which is actually really where all this comes from. Outlaw. I grew up on what's called westerns. You know, my dad and my grandpa, that's all they watched. Okay. Westerns, Gunsmoke, you know, Dances with Wolves, Tombstone, all that stuff. And my grandpa, he actually died, rest in peace, the day before my birthday in 2008. And so his name was Louis Allen Roberts. Okay. And so the Legend of Blue Owl is kind of like a tribute to my grandfather, like kind of keeping him alive through the clothing and through like the brand and all that, making him like the face of Outlaw. So that's what I'm most excited about next, man. Chapter 2 of Outlaw. It's about to get crazy. I don't want to tell no details about it. But yeah, continuing the Legend of Blue Owl and just continuing to grow.
That's what's up, man. I'm definitely gonna be grabbing a bag for sure. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna. I don't know about today. I got not for real, bro. I got some stuff I gotta do. I have some setbacks. I'm definitely gonna be grabbing something real soon, bro. And I appreciate you letting me pull up to your creative space and talk to you for a little bit, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, fam. Another episode of Link Up with Michael Flix. Thanks for joining us.